स्वामिन्नमस्ते नतलोकबन्धो कारुण्यसिन्धो पतितं भवाब्धौ मामुद्धरात्मीयकटाक्षदृष्ट्या ऋज्व्यातिकारुण्य सुधाभिवृष्ट्या। स्वामिन्नमस्ते 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 स्वामिन्नमस्ते। यत्कीर्तनं यत्स्मरणं यदीक्षणं यद्वन्दनं यच्छ्रवणं यदर्हणं लोकस्य सद्यो विधुनोति कल्मषं तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः। विचक्षणाय चरणोपसादनात् संगं व्युदस्योभयतोऽन्तरात्मनः विन्दन्ति हि ब्रह्मगतिं गतक्लमाः तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः। तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः। तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः। जय गुरु जय गुरु जय गुरु। We'll discuss here, or rather, we'll just see how Akrura, a great devotee of Lord Krishna, Sri Krishna, he went to Vrindavan to bring Krishna and Balarama. Where? To Mathura. And for what purpose? To kill Kamsa. Don't think that it is a story. Through this story, we'll see how we can have divine felicity when we contemplate on God. Every one of us can do that. And in these scriptures and Puranas, why these episodes are written, why the sages of ancient ages have written these shlokas or the stories or the anecdotes, it is only because we can see how a devotee has to pursue his devotion. What is devotion? We are all devotees. I think all of us have a great feeling for God, most of us. We feel God, we talk to God. We may go to temples. Many of us has our puja shrines in our houses, and morning and evening we light a lamp, we light incense sticks, and we chant some shlokas. Some who have a mantra given by a guru, they sit there for some time doing japa and meditation. That is our devotional pursuit. But we never think, very rarely we think, whether this is the end of devotion. What should we do further to be united with God? We never ask that with this pursuit of devotion that we are performing every day, day after day, why is it that we are not getting united with God? That question should come to the mind. In our Puranas, in the stories that the Puranas write, this is what is written. The story is there, but there are many things between the lines which we must understand. भक्ति क्या है? हम लोग भक्त हैं, हम भक्ति करते हैं, हम सुबह उठते हैं, दीप जलाते हैं, धूप जलाते हैं, कुछ कुछ लोग का आवृत्ति करते हैं। पर ये डिवोशन और भक्ति क्या है, हमको भक्ति में कैसे आगे बढ़ना है वो हमको जानना चाहिए। ये पुराणों में जितना भी लिखा गया है ये सब कहानी नहीं है, कथा नहीं है। उसमें बताया जाता है कि जो एक सचमुच के भक्त हैं वो कैसे हैं, वो कैसे बिहेव करते हैं, what do they do, how is it that they are growing in devotion, how is it that they have reached a state where they feel that they have got united with God. That this devotional felicity that we can all have through contemplation, we are going to see in these 3 days. ये 3 दिन हम देखेंगे कि भगवान के ऊपर किस तरह हम लोग को सोचना चाहिए, क्या सोचना चाहिए, किस तरह हम भगवान से एकदम युक्त हो सकते हैं, भगवान को हमेशा ही अपने अंदर अनुभव कर सकते हैं। वो बाहर कहीं नहीं है, हर सब जगह हैं, सिर्फ बाहर में ही नहीं, अंदर में है, बहुत पास में है। God is everywhere, He is all pervading. So He is there inside our heart also. We look for Him in the temples, in the images, in the idols, but He is very, very near to us. He is the dearest and the nearest. Even with one's own friend, wife, husband, children, if we want to talk, we have to see a time when they are free, when they are in a mood to talk. But with God, no such barricade is there. You can talk to God whenever you like, because He is there right inside. Now, who is this Akrura? हम बोल रहे हैं कि अक्रूरा वृंदावन जा रहे हैं। क्यों जा रहे हैं? अक्रूरा कौन है? ये भागवत में बताया है। Akrura is one of the ministers of Kamsa. You may be knowing the story. I'll also tell the story of Krishna in a short manner. You know, at one time, Kamsa came to know, Narada told him that, see, when Devaki and Vasudeva got married, at that time you were very happy. Who is telling whom? Kamsa is telling, Narada is telling Kamsa that you know that when Devaki and Vasudeva got married, you were very happy. But when you were taking the chariot to take your sister Devaki to Vasudeva's palace, there was a Daivavani. What was the Daivavani? That the 8th child of your sister will kill you. And you got enraged. You wanted to kill your sister right then. Vasudeva pleaded with you, persuaded, and Vasudeva promised you that he will bring all the children to you so that you can kill the children and not Devaki. He said, Devaki is not your enemy. The children, that to the 8th child is your enemy. So I promise I will give you all the children. You can kill the children. Kamsa thought, okay, that's quite a good promise, because Vasudeva was a Satyashila. He was a righteous and honest man, and he stuck to truthfulness. When the first child was born, Vasudeva took the child to Kamsa. Kamsa came and received the child. He said, I'm only worried about the 8th child of Devaki, so you take this child back. Narada came. Narada came and told, don't be a fool, Kamsa. Who is the 8th child? If you count from this side, then this may be the 8th. If you count from this side, maybe the first one will become the 8th. If you count from middle, then any of it will become the 8th. So which is the 8th child? How do we know? Don't believe these gods. So Kamsa again went back, got the child, threw it on the stone and killed it. Like this, 6 children he killed. 7th one was there, and because of God's wish, Mahavishnu wished it. So Yogamaya, what she did, she withdrew the fetus from Devaki's womb and placed it in Rohini, another wife of Vasudeva, who was hiding in Nandagopa's palace. Why was she hiding? Because when Kamsa started killing all these children, all Kamsa's men and followers, they said, we do not know which is the child who will be killing you. So let us try to kill everybody, all the children. They started torturing all the Vishnikulas, Bhojakulas, and the Yaduvamshas. So many people, they left Mathura and hid here and there. Rohini also, when Vasudeva was chained up by Kamsa, and Vasudeva and Devaki were in the prison, at that time Rohini also took shelter in Nandagopa's house. Nandagopa was a very close friend of Vasudeva. So this seventh conception, the fetus was withdrawn from Devaki's womb by Yogamaya and placed in Rohini's womb. And the son that was born is Balarama. Kamsa did not know. And then the eighth child, all of you know the story, how the child was born. Devaki was looking so lustrous, so beautiful, so much so that in the prison itself she was lighting up the prison. Vasudeva also was looking like that. And then the day came when the Lord, who does not have any birth, the birthless Lord, the limitless Lord, the infinite Lord, he took birth and he became limited in a body. That was Krishna. He was beautiful to look at. And there is such descriptions of him which take away our mind. But Yogamaya and Lord himself instructed Vasudeva that you go, we'll help you, assisted by us. When nobody will come to know, your fetters and your chains will be opened up by Yogamaya. The guards and the watchmen in the prison will simply slip off. You take the child and you will find in Nandagopa's house, Yashoda has given birth to a daughter. You bring that daughter here and keep Krishna there. That is what Vasudeva did. I think all of us know the story. When Vasudeva came back with the daughter, placed it near Devaki, and Vasudeva's feet again got chained up by Yogamaya. The child started crying. Kamsa came running. He was very surprised to see a daughter, a girl instead of a boy. But anyway, he thought that this has to be killed. When he threw this child, the child flew up and turned into the Devi. The Yogamaya took form in a Devi and called out, "Oh fool, why are you wasting your time to kill me? The one who will kill you has already taken birth and is growing somewhere. If you can, you find him out." So Kamsa, initially he repented. Something good is always there even in bad people. Kamsa was the cruelest of many people in this world. But at that moment he felt repentant. He released his sister Devaki and Vasudeva and said, "What Papa I have done? I have killed all your 7 children, throwing them on the stone. I think even God will not forgive me. But now you are free, you can go." But his followers, his ministers, they were also very cruel. They came and started telling him that, "What have you done? You should not free them. We do not know where that child is growing. Now we'll have to find out. So from today itself, we'll send all Rakshasas, demons, demonesses, and asuras to see where a child is. Anybody who is 10 days old or less than 10 days, we'll try to kill. And we will continue with this mission. Also, we'll kill all the holy people because Lord Vishnu, he is in the holy people." Who is this Krishna? Lord Vishnu has taken incarnation in this body of Krishna. Why he has taken incarnation? Because the world, the earth is burdened by evil things, evil kings, wrong kings. They are torturing the people like anything. So much so, the deity, the earth deity went and cried before Brahma that, "I cannot bear anymore this burden. Please do something." Brahma went to Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu said, I will take incarnation as Krishna and kill all the evil people and bring about dharma. Now adharma is powerful, I will bring about dharma. That is why Krishna was born. So these people who who are the ministers and followers of Kamsa, what did they tell Kamsa? That Lord Vishnu has got incarnated. So to kill him, we must kill all the holy people because he remains in the heart of the holy people. They also said, Vishnu is a coward person. Otherwise, he can be always outside. Why does he go and hide in the hearts of holy people? He is hiding from us. That is why we are not able to catch him. Also, he is found in yajna, he is found in the cows, he is found in the Vedas, he is found in tapasya. All these things we should destroy. Saying this, they went on their mission. They could not find out where Krishna was. But it so happened that Krishna's life was threatened. Many attempts were made by many asuras to kill him. Every time the asuras got killed. Like this, Krishna was growing up, and when he became a Kishora, Narada thought this is the time that Kamsa should be told the truth. So Kamsa, Narada was in his palace. Narada comes there and says that, "Oh Kamsa, you must be remembering all these things. All that happened since your sister got married to Vasudeva. You were so happy and all these things happened. But what you do not know, I have come to tell you. What I have come to tell you? That Krishna is growing in Nanda Gopa's house. And he was exchanged with Yogamaya, the daughter who was born to Yashoda. This you did not know. You also did not know that Balarama is also from one part of Krishna, and he is also growing in Gokula, in Nanda Gopa's house. And they are growing up to kill you one day. Now I have told you whatever I had to tell. I am going, you do whatever you like." You know, Narada always does this. It looks that he is always trying to create confusion and quarrel between others. It is not so. He is a great devotee. He sings around, goes about and sings Lord's name. And his one duty is to make devotion flow in this world. His one mission is to subdue those who are not pursuing the path of dharma. So that is why he came and told Kamsa. Kamsa was enraged. Now what is he going to do? He started thinking that I have sent so many asuras, and those asuras has gone and tried to kill this boy who was growing in Nanda Gopa's house. I never thought that this is the boy. But the fact is that they have got killed and this boy has not got killed. I should have thought, I should have suspected, but I did not. Now there is no use sending more asuras and rakshasas there. So what I will do, I will bring them here, and in the name of a wrestling match, I will kill them. I will have a Dhanur Yaga, and wrestling match will be a part of that Dhanur Yaga. I will call all the people of the country. This Dhanur Yaga will be done in a very grand and pompous manner, with lot of shamyanas, pandals, lighting and all that. And even the people of Gokula, Nandagopa is the king there, all his people, I will invite them to see this. I will ask them to come with their carts full of milk and milk products. And let them also come and see how I kill their son. All these plans were going on in his mind. So he thought the wrestling match will be there. There is a Chanura and Mushtika, very big wrestlers. And these two will be able to kill Krishna. Before that, before Krishna even enters the wrestling match ground, I'll keep the elephant, Kubalaya Pida, who is like a lightning, who is like death itself. And that Kubalaya Pida definitely will kill Krishna right at the gate. If he is not able to, let them enter the wrestling match ground and they will be killed. When all this he planned, now the point was how to get them. He first called this Kuvalaya Pida's man, elephant man, told him, this is my plan. Called Mushtika and Chanura, told them his plan, and told all his followers that make a very big amphitheater and make arrangement for the Dhanur Yajna. And then he called Akrura. Who was this Akrura? When many people fled, Akrura did not go away from Mathura. When people became very afraid of Kamsa, because Kamsa was torturing the good people, many fled. Akrura and some others did not. They thought, they had a strong faith that Krishna will come and one day will kill Kamsa, because the Devatas had given that Akashavani. So Akrura was there. He was a very righteous man, very devoted, very pious, and Kamsa knew that. He was one of Kamsa's ministers also. So Kamsa went there and he held Akrura's hand and said, "Oh Akrura, I want to tell you, I cannot believe anybody else except you. You please go to Vrindavan and tell Krishna and Balarama that I, their uncle, would like to see them. And bring them here. There is a very beautiful chariot. Take it and go. But this is my plan." He revealed the plan to Akrura. Can you think? A devotee of Krishna who has been always devoted to Lord Vishnu, and when he came to know that Krishna is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, he had been all the more devoted. Akrura also did not know who Krishna was, where he was, but he knew that Krishna has been born. Then when all these asuras were getting killed from a distance, Akrura used to hear, and he understood that that must be Krishna. He must be coming one day, and killing Kamsa, he will free all the people, make everybody fearless in this country. So Akrura, when he used to hear the growth of Sri Krishna, the beautiful leelas and the exploits and the excellences that he had in Brajabhumi, how he as a child, what he was doing, when he became a boy, what he was doing, he was growing more and more and more of devotion for the Lord. And ultimately, he became so devoted when Kamsa came and told him, "Akrura, please go and bring Krishna." You know what was his thought? Will I have such an opportunity to meet the Lord, to have darshan of Lord all along from a distance? He was given his whole heart to Krishna. He was worshipping Krishna in his mind. But now at this point, he is having a feeling of excitement, and he is feeling that, oh, now I am going to meet my Ishtadeva. Now I am going to see him actually, physically, and I'll be able to do pranam at his feet. You know why we are telling these stories? All of us should think like this. First of all, what was Akrura doing? His thoughts were Taila Dharavat. Whatever he did, he was a minister, he was working, he was really looking after many of the things in the country, but his heart was given to Lord Krishna. He always knew that I belong to Krishna and Krishna is mine. Like that, O devotees, all of us should be. We finish our puja for half an hour, we sit maybe near the shrine, and then we think that it is over. It is not so. Our thought should go on throughout the day, making the Lord more and more close to the heart, making that feeling inside the heart that He is always with us, always is there. And with that feeling should grow. It is called Taila Dharavat. What is that? When we pour water, it's a continuous stream. That stream is continuous. So the thought should be Taila Dharavat. So Akrura thought, this Kamsa, he is known to be the evil person. He has never done any good to anybody in his life. How is it that this Kamsa has given me the chance to go to Vrindavan and meet my beloved Krishna? Like this he was thinking. Dear devotees, I would like to imagine the scenes. I am telling a story, but you imagine the scene. Who is telling whom? We should all go to that bank of Ganges where Parikshit is sitting. And Parikshit is being told the story of Akrura by Shukadeva. In the bank, the Parikshit, the noble, virtuous king, who has left drinking, eating, everything, and he has taken to Prayopavesha, that is, he will live without any food and drink. He is sitting there, and around him there are so many Rajarshis, Devashris, Maharshis, Brahmarshis, not to speak of all the countrymen. They are all eagerly sitting along with him, and Parikshit is sitting in front of Shukadeva, the one who is telling him the Bhagavata. For what? Parikshit has done a heinous crime. Although he was a very, very virtuous king, he was giving security and love and protection to the whole country, his fellow subjects. But though he used to think that he was a devotee, one day he lost his temper and insulted a rishi. Parikshit had gone for hunting and he was very, very thirsty. So he went to some of the kutiyas which he could see, found one rishi, Shamika Maharshi, sitting in meditation and contemplation, asked water from him. Poor Maharshi, he was in meditation. How will he know that the Raja has come, the emperor has come, he has to get up and give some water? He did not understand anything. Parikshit got very annoyed. What? I have come, I am the king, and I am being insulted. So he put a dead cobra which was lying nearby as a garland around the Maharshi's neck and went away. Maharshi did not know even that. But others who saw, they went running to the Maharshi's son who was playing at the river bank and told, your father has been insulted by the king. And that young boy, without going into any detail, without any thoughtfulness, he took some water in hand and cursed. Whoever has done this will be bitten by Takshaka on the 7th day and will die. And then he came running to the father, and by his wailing and weeping, the father now got up and said, my dear child, why are you weeping? Who has done harm to you? Has anybody beaten you, scolded you? He said, no, this has happened. Don't you see the snake is still on your neck? And I have cursed, he said. You know what the Rishi said? The Rishi said, my dear child, what have you done? For such a small mistake you have given such a big punishment? This is not what the Rishis are supposed to do. We are there always to forgive. We are always there to tolerate. We are always there to be patient with people. We should not become excited with dukkha and sukha. Now what have you done? The good kings are the representatives of God himself. Because he is a good king, he is a noble and virtuous king, he is a righteous king, he is an honest king, and he loves his countrymen. He has given us protection and security. That we are able to do, our tapasya even, we who do not have any possession as such, we do not have any money or wealth or anything. Still, we are able to sit in meditation. We don't have to be fearful about robbers who will take away our small lota and lathi and some dresses that we have. We don't have to think of anything. We are very, very secure, and we are able to pursue our path of devotion and spirituality. Why did you do this? Please go and tell him that you have cursed him. And the king became so repentant while going back. He thought, I used to think that I was a devotee. I used to think I am a great devotee of Lord Hari. Now I find that I am not, because in a moment I got angry. A devotee should not become angry. A devotee should have tolerance, love for people. And what did I do? That means I do not have any quality that a devotee must have. These are the questions that the devotee must have. When we do every day the same puja, getting up at the same time in the morning, taking bath, lighting a lamp, offering flowers, offering some stotras, and feeling very happy that I have done my devotional routine. We feel very pride that we have kept fast on that day and maybe some vrata on that day. We feel very happy. Some people say very proudly that I take breakfast only at 11 o'clock after I have done all my devotional routines. But we must also ask us that have I got the characteristics, the qualities of a devotee by which the Lord will be pleased? And try to bring about these qualities. Be watchful. See what are the qualities that we lack, which a devotee must have. Then bring about those qualities. Any quality which a devotee should not have, we must reject mercilessly. We should be harsh with ourselves. Mercilessly reject those qualities, what we have, which is not conducive to devotion. So, Parikshit was saying, it's very good. I don't think that it is a curse for me. I feel it is a real blessing for me that this has happened. Dear devotees, can we say at any time when some mishap takes place that this is a blessing for us? From this story, what do we learn? We have to take every situation as an enrichment, as an enlightenment, and understand we can grow through the situations. He is saying that this is not a curse. It is a blessing because it has opened my eyes. I am now understanding what I should do. I feel so much dispassionate to the whole life. I was very proud about my kingdom, my emperorship, my queens, my princes, my treasury, my army, my kinsmen. I was so proud, but I never thought that I was lacking some qualities which a devotee must have. Now, I became so very angry because I did not get water. I should not have acted like this. Since this thirst made me act like this, I will give up drinking water. I have got only 7 days in my life. All these 7 days I will be without water and without food. I'll go to the river bank and sit there, and I will like to ask everybody, the Vidwans, the scholars, what I should do to become a true devotee, what I should do to completely contemplate, wholesomely contemplate on the Lord and merge with Him in my heart. Only 7 days are left. Who will tell me? He anyway left everything, went and sat near the bank of Ganges. By this time, in the whole city and towns, this news has spread. The king has left the palace and is sitting at the Ganga के किनारे बैठे हैं परीक्षित. कौन है परीक्षित? राजा हैं. सब छोड़ दिया. हमारा कल्चर यही है. This is our country. जब बहुत बहुत मन में वैराग्य होता है, तब क्या होता है? जिसके पास पैसा है, जिसके पास नहीं है, अगर कोई छोटा लड़का है, कोई बड़ा वृद्ध आदमी है, जिसके पास विद्या है, जिसके पास नहीं है, जो कोई भी हो, जिनमें ये आ जाता है एक भाव कि ये जीवन कुछ नहीं है, इस जीवन से मेरे को सुख नहीं मिलना है, मुझे सुख सिर्फ वही मिल सकता है जो कि हमारे भगवान के चरण कमल हैं. अगर मैं उसी को सब कुछ मानूं, तभी मेरे को सुख मिल सकता है. तब वो घर छोड़ देते हैं, छोड़ के कहीं जाके तपस्या करने लगते हैं. दिस इज़ आवर कंट्री. फ्रॉम एंशिएंट टाइम्स, फॉर एजेस एंड एजेस, people have left home seeking the lotus feet of the Lord, seeking that treasure which will give us eternal contentment, eternal bliss. Parikshit bhi jaake baith gaye. So he sat at the bank of Ganges and all people flocked around him. All the Devarshis and the Maharshis, the Siddhas, the Chandras, all of them came and they came and sat by his side. Seeing, he did not expect anybody to come to him. When he saw them, he was surprised and he started saying, that is why I am saying I am blessed. I would not have met so many rishis and saints and sages otherwise. Only because I am cursed and I have taken to this decision, all of you have come. See, in the normal time, what would be there? He would be sitting in the palace on his throne. Even if so many sages and saints would have come, he will wash their feet, make them sit, and will give in gift after gift. Those days, gold coins, cows were the best of gifts that could be given to the Brahmins. He would have done all that. Now he has nothing. Actually, he has everything, but he has left everything. He has nothing to give them except what? Except a pranam. That he gave heartily, and with tearful eyes, with folded hands, he said, please tell me how to contemplate on God. मुझे बताइए मैं कैसे भगवान के ऊपर ध्यान कर सकता हूँ. मेरे लिए मेरा जीवन सिर्फ 7 दिन का है. अब मैं कैसे भगवान के ऊपर ध्यान करूँ ताकि मैं उन्हें एकदम अपने हृदय में अनुभव कर लूँ. So he said this. All the people, they started discussing with each other. Everybody was a scholar. Everybody had a lot of knowledge also. They were thinking, they have to tell him something which he can pursue for 7 days and realize. So what is that? How will they tell? Meanwhile, Shukadeva came from there. Shukadeva was just going. Shukadeva was Atma Ramaha. He was pleased with himself. These saints and sages, the holy people, they are called Atma Ramaha. Their pleasure and delight is not with the outside objects. Their pleasure and delight is in themselves alone, in their own heart. Atma Ramaha. He just goes around. He never stays anywhere. If at all he stays somewhere, it is for the time which is taken for a cow to be milked. एक गाय का दूध निकालने में जितना समय लगता है उतना ही समय वो एक जगह रहते हैं, नहीं तो वो विचरते रहते हैं. So Shukadeva was going. Everybody got up, welcomed him, received him, and the Raja washed his feet and made him sit somewhere and asked him the same question. First the Raja said that if it is told in our scriptures, if in your house you think of a Mahatma, you think of a holy person, you think of a sage, the whole house gets purified just by the thought of a Mahatma. You may have a big temple in your house. You may be getting a Purohit and doing puja in the best of manners according to the injunctions of the Vedas. House will not be purified. But if you think of a holy person, then the house gets purified. So he was saying, if I remained in the house and thought, my house would have got purified. What to speak of that moment when I have been able to touch the feet of the Mahatma? Because he was doing pranam to Shukadeva, he told this. I have got this opportunity and it has come all because of this Muniputra's curse. क्योंकि उसने मुझे अभिशाप दिया है, उसीलिए all of you have come and I am able to touch the feet of Shukadeva, the greatest of a sage. तो प्रणाम करने लगे. हम आपको बोलते हैं, हम सभी वहाँ जाएंगे, उनके साथ बैठेंगे. जो वहाँ पे सभा हो रही है, जहाँ पे शुकदेव भागवत बोल रहे हैं, all of you imagine, मन से सोचिए कि आप भी वहीं पे बैठे हुए हैं. Imagine it. वहाँ पे बैठ के ये क्या पूछते हैं परीक्षित? सबसे पहले उन्होंने कहा, पुनश्च भूयाद् भगवत्यनन्ते Ratih prasangascha tadashrayeshu Mahatsu yam yam upayami srishtim Maitryastu sarvatra namo dvijebhyah Punascha bhuyad bhagavatyanante Ratih prasangascha tadashrayeshu Mahatsu yam yam upayami srishtim Maitrastu sarvatra namo dvijebhyah. He was saying, only 7 days are left for me and I'll die. If I have to take another birth, oh, the Mahatmas, the holy people, you bless me so that I take a birth in which I will be a devotee of the Lord, a true devotee of the Lord. अगर मेरे को फिर से जन्म मिल जाता है, मैं चाहता हूँ कि मैं एक सचमुच का डिवोटी बन के जन्म लूँ और मुझे ये जो पूरी सृष्टि है उसमें मेरे को बहुत आपका दर्शन मिलना चाहिए. I must see you everywhere in this world and I should be very, very grateful and respectful to all the Brahmins and the Mahatmas. He said this. Then he was telling Shukadeva that only 7 days are left. I want to tell you this. I want to ask you this. He was sitting with he was kneeling down near Shukadeva. His hands were folded like this. Eyes were trickling. His cheeks were getting flooded with tears. He was asking him, Yat shrotavyam atho japyam Yat kartavyam nibhiprabho Smartavyam bhajaniyam va Bruhi yadva viparyayam Ata prichhami samsiddhim Yoginam paramam gurum Purushasyeha yat karyam Vayamanasya sarvatha Yat shrotavyam atho japyam Yat kartavyam nibhiprabho Smartavyam bhajaniyam va Bruhi yadva viparyayam. हम आपसे यही पूछना चाहते हैं, यही कि आप जो हैं सब योगियों के परम गुरु हैं. You are the greatest of the gurus. I am asking you, a person who is going to die. Yat shrotavyam, for that person who is going to die, what he should hear. Yat shrotavyam, what he should hear. Atho japyam, what he should chant. Yat kartavyam, what is his duty. A person who is going to die, what he should hear, what he should chant, what is his duty in this life. Smartavyam bhajaniyam va, what he should remember and what he should worship. All these I want to know, because my days are numbered. Dear devotees, for all of us the days are numbered. We don't think like Parikshit. We should think like Parikshit. For everybody, all those who are embodied, who have taken birth, Bhagavatam says that as the body gets born, death also gets born along with the body. And the death follows you. Maybe the death may come at the age of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 90, even 100. Any day, any person may fall. We do not know. But we are always very, very comfortable. We never think about that. We never think that this must be maybe my last moment and let me think of God. We never think like this. So he is saying, now that he knows that only 7 days are left, he is asking a question. All the question is relevant for all of us. We also must ask this question and come to know what we should do. What we should do, what we should hear, what we should chant, what is our duty in this life, what we should remember, what is the way in which we should worship. He also said, Bruhi yadva viparyayam. Please tell me what I should not do. It's very, very important. Why we should know what we should not do? because always we are doing what we should not do. We are maximum in a day, half an hour or 1 hour we are spending in the puja shrine or maybe sitting in meditation. Rest of the day, what are we doing? Rest of the day, our mind is always thinking of our children, our promotion, our profession, our maidservant, and so many other things. We are not thinking of God. We are not finding God in all those things at all. So, he says that, Bruhi yadva viparyayam, what I should think and what I should think not. I may be thinking about you. I might be every day chanting Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and many other slokas. The other day somebody was asking me, shall I chant these things? Shall I drop these things? So, we must know rest of the time what we are doing. Whether being a devotee for some time, rest of the day we are acting like a non-devotee. And we should not. So when he asked this is the greatest question. And Shukadeva said, Variyaneshate prashnaha. Your question is very, very great. It is the Shrestha question that you have asked me. Why? Because this question and the reply that I am going to give you will not only be beneficial to you, it will be beneficial to the whole world for ages and ages and ages. That is why we are also hearing that. What Parikshit asked so many years back, even then, even now, we are reading that, hearing that, and we'll be, if we read the Bhagavatam, we'll be seeing what Shukadeva had given as his instruction. Shukadeva says, there are so many thousands of things in this life to hear. And the ordinary, common people, they are very happy to hear all worldly matters. They never think of the Atma that is enlivening them. The Atma which is there inside, which enlivens this body, allows us to think, allows us to act, allows us to sit, walk, eat, and whatnot. We never think of that Atma. We are only thinking of other things, trying to increase our possessions so that we can live comfortably, more and more comfort. We never look at the world with this feeling that the world is transitory. Everything is changeful. We will not be able to hold on to the good days that we have. The good days will go, bad days will come, again maybe some good days will come. It is always changeful. We want to hold on to whatever we want. And when we are not able to, we are disappointed, depressed, and we feel angry at times. You know, there is a very beautiful shloka which says, Ayurvarsha shatam nrinam parimitam ratrau tadardham gatam tasyardhasya parasya chardham aparam malatva vriddhatvayoh shesham vyadhi viyoga dukkha sahitam sevadibhirniyate jive varitaranga chanchalatare saukyam kutah praninam. Ayurvarsha shatam nrinam parimitam ratrau tadardham gatam tasyardhasya parasya chardham aparam malatva vriddhatvayoh. It says, for men, human beings, the minimum age of longevity is 100 years. Out of that, 50 years, if we calculate and find out, we'll find that we have spent in sleeping. Because most of the time is spent in sleeping. Rest of it, part of it, in childhood and old age. Where in childhood and old age also, the child is a senseless a boy or girl. And when you reach the old age, maybe you have lived a very good life, you become like a child. And your children start saying that, oh, father has become like a child now, or mother has become like a child now. Sometimes they will forget whether they have eaten or not. Again ask for food. Sometimes the person who is serving them will get angry with them. So that is what happens. So part of it is spent, half of it is spent in sleeping, half of it in childhood and old age, rest of it in vyadhi and dukkha, that is in disease and dukkha, and a little bit of earning money and trying to be comfortable. Jeeve varitaranga chanchalatare saukhyam kutah praninam. So for human beings, this is the fate. This is what is the life of a human being. And everything is like a budbuda, a bubble. So how can there be happiness for anybody? So Parikshit is being told by Shukadeva, this of course is not from Bhagavatam, this is from Vairagya Shatakam. So he is saying that if the life is like this, we hold on to our husband, wife, children, our money, our possession, name, fame, recognition, prestige and everything, house. But the fact is that all that is transitory, and human beings mostly, ordinarily, commonly, pashyannapi na pashyati. They are seeing that every day so many things are happening, deaths are taking place, people are losing their money, but everybody feels that this will not come to my door. Whatever I have, I'll be able to preserve it till my body falls. Nobody is going to take the body with themselves. Everything you have to leave and go. But that thought does not remain with us. So Shukadeva is saying, Pashyannapi na pashyati, that having this attachment to the changeful world, you are going to always suffer and suffer. Nobody is looking into it. Nobody is alert about it. So he says, O king, what I tell you is this: Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Haririshwaraha Shrotavyaha Kirtitavyasya Smartavyaha Ichchata Bhayam. Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Haririshwaraha Shrotavyaha Kirtitavyaha Smartavyaha Ichchata Abhayam. He says, the whole world, the human beings are drowned in fear. This fear, there is fear in everything. I think all of us want to be fearless. Little fear, big fear. And if we go into ourselves, we look into our mind, we find that, for every moment, from the time we get up to the time we get to go to the bed, always there is some stress, tension and fear and anxiety. So he says, O king, you are asking me that what you should do, what you should think about, what you should chant, what you should remember, what is your duty. Because you are asking this why? Because on the 7th day you are afraid you are going to die because of the snake bite by Takshaka. You are fearful now. So you are asking me what I should do. Everybody is fearful. So if you want to go beyond fear, Ichchata Abhayam, if you want to go beyond fear, transcend fear, and reach the state of fearlessness, O king, only one way is there, and that is Shrotavyaha Kirtitavyasya Smartavyaha Haririshwaraha. Lord Hari should be contemplated upon. Worship Lord Hari. Worship Lord Vishnu. Because he is the one who is Shrotavyaha. That is, he is the one who should be heard about. Kirtitavyasya. He is the one whose excellences you should sing aloud. You are singing so many filmy songs or other songs, which are exciting. But what you should sing is his name. Sing his name, his glory, his deeds. And smartavyaha. When you are doing something with your hand, your mind is not engaged, think of him. Think of the Leela that he has done. Think of how he has moved with his devotees, what the devotees did. like that you should do. So Shukadeva starts telling him Bhagavata. You know, what is this Bhagavata? It says, Yasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishne paramapurushe bhaktirutpadyate pumsaha shokamoha bhayapaha. Now, Parikshit is being told by Shukadeva, think of him, sing about him, and remember him. How can we do that? We don't know Lord Hari. We don't know what God He is. We don't even have any feeling for Him because we have not seen Him. By routine, by the fact of our culture and tradition, we grow up worshipping God. But we don't know Him. How do we love Him? How do we grow devotion for Him? Most of our devotion is because of fear. That if I don't do puja, something wrong will happen to my house, on my people. Some calamity will take place. Oh God, I am doing puja, please look after my family and all my belongings. This is what we do puja with. But the puja should be unmotivated. Worship from a devotee, by true devotee, should be unmotivated, without any motive. But we are not doing that. Parikshit is being advised that grow devotion for the Lord. Think about Him, remember Him, sing about Him. But how to go about it? How to grow devotion for Him? How to love Him? That becomes the question. The whole of Bhagavata is only that. To tell you many anecdotes, many stories where Lord has been described, where devotees have been described, their devotion has been described, what they did with that devotion has been described. And when we listen and contemplate, our mind also starts generating that feeling for the Lord. It's just like, suppose you have a child, many of you have children, many of the mothers here, they have been telling me, नहीं आ सके क्योंकि बच्चों का एग्ज़ाम था, बच्चों का एग्ज़ाम है, so you are not coming for the satsang, you are not able to come. जब ऐसा मन भगवान के लिए होगा कि कुछ भी हो जाए, हम भगवान का नाम करने से विरत नहीं रह सकते हैं, तभी हमारा प्रेम बढ़ जाएगा. So he says, you have to think of God and contemplate on Him. So Shukadeva starts telling these stories one after another, and to grow, to be listening, to be hearing what happens if somebody listens with full mind, only not expecting anything, just loving it. You will find how you become close to God, close to Krishna, about whom it is being told in all these chapters and skandhas. Pibanti ve bhagavata atmanas satam kathamritam shravana puteshu sambhritam punanti te vishaya vidushitashayam vrajanti tacharana saroruhantikam पिबन्ति ये भगवता आत्मनस्सतां कथामृतं श्रवणपुटेषु संभृतं पुनन्ति ते विषयविदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरणसरोरुहान्तिकम् पिबन्ति ये भगवता आत्मनस्सतां. इस हर श्लोक में बोल रहे हैं भागवत सुनने से, पढ़ने से, उसके ऊपर ध्यान करने से, उसको जीवन में लाने से क्या होता है? भक्ति रुत्पद्यते पुंसः. मनुष्यों के मन में भक्ति उत्पन्न हो जाता है. एंड व्हाट इज दैट भक्ति? व्हाट काइंड ऑफ भक्ति? शोक मोह भयापहा. इफ यू कीप ऑन लिसनिंग अबाउट गॉड, इफ यू कीप ऑन रिमेंबरिंग हिम, कीप ऑन सिंगिंग अबाउट हिम, व्हाट विल हैपन? You will grow that bhakti which is shoka moha bhayapaha. There will be no shoka, there will be no moha in your life, and there will be no bhaya. And you have to hear it. Pibanti ye bhagavata atmanas satam. It is not sitting here and just listening. It is not like that. You have to give your full attention, Pibanti, you must drink. What is this? This is a rasa. It is a rasa. And who is telling us? Shukadeva is telling us. He is from his pitcher as if he is pouring out this rasa, which is like Amrita. And what we should do on return? We should drink it. How can we drink it fully? Only when we listen to it carefully. So it says, Kathamritam Shravana Puteshu Sambhritam. Our ear should be made into a cup. If you pour something on a flat tray, it will all spill. But if you make a cup, the cup can hold a liquid. So our ear should be made into a cup, and we should be listening as if we are drinking in all that is being poured on us. And what is the effect? Punantite Vishaya Vidushitashayam. As we hear, what happens? All the desires, all the impurities of the mind, our mind is always cluttered with so many crisscross thoughts, unnecessary, meaningless, useless thoughts, which will take us nowhere, which are all mostly it is imaginary, mostly about the past or the future. Past we have already passed. Future we do not know. But our mind will be revolving and revolving around those thoughts. So our mind becomes impure with those thoughts. Where will the God's thought or God's words enter? How will it enter? But if we try, if we start drinking, we'll find this talk and the words about God has entered us, and all the impurities have been washed off by that nectar. By that, what will happen when the impurities are washed off? We will find that we are near God. Suddenly we'll find that my mind is not going to crisscross thoughts. My mind is not going to things or events which make me worried and anxious. I'm able to think of God. God, it may not be any murti even. Some feeling of contentment, a fulfillment, a feeling of melting inside the heart. जैसे कि मन पिघल रहा है, जैसे कि मन एकदम भक्ति से, प्यार से भर गया है. हम नहीं जानते हैं कि भगवान कैसे दिखते हैं. हम लोग मूर्ति हम सोच लेते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे ट्रेडिशन में, हमारे रिलीजियन में एक एक मूर्ति है, हम उसी को पूजा करते हैं. पर उसका इफेक्ट क्या होना चाहिए? The mind should become melted completely, as if you are spread out in the whole universe, as if you are able to see in everything. So, the devotion will melt our heart. We'll be able to feel an expansion into everything. In everything that we interact with, we see by our 5 senses, we interact. We'll find God everywhere, in everything, and we'll be feeling Him inside us. Adhokshajalambhamiha shubhatmanah sharirina samsriti chakrashatanam tad brahma nirvana sukham vidurbudhaha tato bhajadvam hridaye hridishwaram. Adhokshajalambhamiha shubhatmanah sharirina samsriti chakrashatanam tad brahma nirvana sukham vidurbudhaha tato bhajadvam hridaye hridishwaram. Tato bhajadvam hridaye hridishwaram. Tato bhajadvam hridaye hridishwaram. When we grow devotion, I was saying, there will be a melting in the heart. There will be a spreading into the whole universe. Why? Because this says, Adhokshajalambham. We'll feel that we are embraced by the Supreme Lord. Do you hear me? An embrace. People feel the embrace of the wife or husband is superior. People feel when the child comes and embraces, you feel you have got the Swarga. It's not an embrace like that. It is much, 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 much more. An embrace of the Lord. Where? In your own heart. It is a sparsha. It is a Vishnu sparsha that you get. Where all your impurities will go. If you feel that you are weak, if you feel that you have so many anxieties and fear, if you feel that you have done so many wrong things in this life, everything will be washed off by that one embrace of the Lord. Adhokshajalambham iha shubhatmanah sharirina samsriti chakrashatanam. And one will realize the Lord within the heart. One will not have any more birth. One will be free, will be liberated. And this is called by the wise people as Brahma Nirvana Sukham. It is enjoyed in the heart of oneself. You don't have to go anywhere, my devotees. I'm telling you from my experience. You will feel Him. You will feel Him in your heart. He is the most dear companion one can have. We may have many people around us. You may have a family, very good family, wife, husband, children, parents, very good friends, neighbors, relatives. All may be looking after you. All may be very good to you. But this one company is much more than that. This is the one which will give you security. Nobody else can give you security in life. Nobody else can give you fearlessness in life. You cannot buy fearlessness anywhere in this life. But this one will give you. This companion is always looking at you and saying that come, get united with me. We just don't look at him. We are always looking to the outside to find happiness from outside objects. If only we will look at him and we will try to be embraced by him. Oh dear devotees, he is sitting there in our heart and he is stretching out his hands to embrace us. Adhokshajalambham iha shubhatmanah sharirina samsriti chakrashatanam tad brahma nirvana sukham vidurbudhaha tato bhajadvam hridayer hridishwaram. So it says, tato, tataha, that is therefore, bhajadvam, please worship. Whom? Hridishwaram, the one who is the Ishvara, the God of your heart, you worship him. Where would you worship him? Not in the puja shrine. You need not go to the temple. You may go, but know that he is inside your heart. Hridayer hridishwaram, bhajadvam hridaye. And whom do we worship in our heart? Hridishwaram. This is the promise of Bhagavata. Bhagavata says that it is some text which you read, if you hear, if you contemplate, and you practice, you will have no shoka, no moha, no bhaya, and you will have this embrace of the Lord, the Vishnu Sparsha. Now, who is telling whom? Shukadeva is telling Parikshit. We are also listening. And like this, Shukadeva is going on telling so many anecdotes, so many stories about the devotees. And Parikshit is hearing, and just by hearing, his love for the Lord is increasing manifold. But he is becoming restless. He is thinking, 3 days have passed. When will Shukadeva talk about Lord Krishna? I want to hear about Krishna. The incarnation in this yuga. I want to learn about him. I want to hear about him. So he expresses to Shukadeva, oh my dear sir, I have been hearing, I am asking you questions and you are replying to me. I am so very grateful that you have come at this moment when I needed this most. But, oh my dear sir, please tell me about Krishna. You know that I have not taken food or drink for these last few days. There is a lot of thirst and hunger in me, but I am not feeling it. Because continuously you are supplying me with Amrita. Amrita about what? The katha, the talk and the message about Lord, what you are telling me, that is like Amrita for me. And which I am drinking. Because I am drinking Amrita, I am not feeling tired at all. I am not feeling hungry at all. I am not feeling thirsty at all. I can go on and on and on and listen to this. Naishati dussaha kshunmam tyaktodamapi badhate pibantam tvam mukham bhoja চ্যুতম harikathamritam, harikathamritam. You are telling me harikatha. And what is that? It is not only a katha. It is not only words. I am considering it to be amrita. And I am drinking it. That is why I have been able to face this hunger and thirst, which normally should have made me very, very tired. So please go on. Tell me about the Lord. Tell me about Krishna. I want to hear about him. So, Shukadeva talks about Sri Krishna. Shukadeva tells how Krishna was born, how he was exchanged with the daughter which Yashoda had delivered. And then he tells about how Krishna grows up in Brajabhumi, in Gokula. Krishna grows up, and how everybody, all the Gopa and Gopikas, they are enamored by him. A little child, how they are delighting everybody in that place. Every one of us knows about the childhood pranks of Krishna. He used to go and steal butter from everybody's house, and when caught, he will make such a face that nobody could tell him anything. He was the pupil of everybody's eyes. But why? How was that? He is actually the Lord, the infinite Lord, the limitless Lord. He has taken form into a small boy. Because of that, he is able to give that pure delight to everybody. Nobody was understanding it there. So he was growing up. You know, the Gopikas will tell, Krishna, come, come. I will give you sweet. We will give you sweet. If you dance, we'll give you a sweet. So Krishna will be dancing. Then after some time they will say, Krishna, you sing very well. Why don't you sing for us? So loudly he will be singing, singingly dancing. Then they will say, Krishna, go and bring that measuring vessel. Bring that other item, one vessel from there. Your father will be coming just now. Take his chappal and keep it at the place. You know, small children, we all know how small children behave. If we give them some work, small children, they feel very important, as if the whole household's work they can do. So like that, Krishna also would feel very important, and whatever the gopis will tell, he will try to do that. Sometimes when they would ask him to pick up something and bring, he will go runningly and finding it very heavy. At that time, he will take it halfway and leave it on the ground, and because he is not able to carry it anymore, after throwing it on the ground, he will put up his arms to the amusement of everybody. Everybody will be laughing. Like this, he was giving delight. And when he grew up a little bit, the parents, Nandagopa and Yashoda, they understood that now we can give him a calf for tending. Like we do know, children, they ask for a dog. So the parents will buy a dog and give the child. So here, because they are in the cowherd settlement, the parents felt now he has become grown up enough to have a calf. So they gave a calf to him, to Balarama also. So they will be playing along with the calves, catching hold of the tail of the calf, running with them, sometimes falling down, and then giggling to the heart's content. Like that it was going on. Sometimes they will go to the river bank and play with other children. It will be very late, they will not come home. So Rohini would go, come, it is time for you to take bath and take food. Rohini mother's words they will not hear. Then Yashoda will be going. Yashoda will say, please come, it is so late. You know, just like a little ordinary child, he was behaving. Come, it is very late, it is time for you to take food. You took very little breakfast. All these slokas are there in Bhagavatam. If you read, you will find lot of delight. You have taken very little breakfast today. If you come and you take food, breakfast, so you must take some food. Before that you must take some bath. Take bath. See, all your friends have already gone. Why is it that two of you are playing here? So they will come to Yashoda. Then Yashoda will say, "Oh, naughty children, you are fully smeared with dust. Now what am I supposed to do? How to give a bath to you?" Then she will take them with the hand and take them home, give a bath, and keep on telling. Your friends, they went in time. Now they have already come. They have already taken bath. Their mothers have given them bath, and see how beautifully they have got dressed up and come here after food, and you have been late. So their days will pass like that. Now, what happened is that there were a lot of threats to Krishna's life. Many asuras came and tried to kill him. And at one time, the elders of that place, the Gokula, the Brajabhumi, felt that we should leave this place and go to Vrindavan. Why I told you all these things? Akrura goes to Vrindavan. When Akrura went to bring Krishna and Balarama to Kamsa's palace, he was in Vrindavan. And we have heard of Vrindavan. I think with Vrindavan, we have lot of feelings, devotional feelings, even if many of us would not have visited Vrindavan, but Vrindavan is a Punya Bhumi, a holy place, a devotional place. So tomorrow we will see how Vrindavan is described, how Krishna and all they went there, and how ultimately Akrura comes there, and what was Akrura's feelings. Akrura is going to see what? He is going to meet Krishna and Balarama. His mission is to bring them in the chariot, knowing that they are actually going to be killed by Kamsa. Kamsa has a plan for that. And Akrura is becoming an instrument to do that. So with what mind he is going? On one hand, he is a devotee of Krishna. Another hand, he is also feeling whether they will survive, whether Kamsa will win or these people will win. So with that, and while going, what was his feelings? He is going to meet whom? His Ishta Devata, on whom he has been thinking and contemplating. He is going there. Anything? Any announcement? Verse. Lokanunmadayan shrutir mukharayan shoniruhan harshayan shailan vidravayan mrigan vivashayan govrindamanandayan gopan sambhramayan munin mukulayan saptaswaranjrambhayan Omkararthamudirayan vijayate vamshininad shishoho Omkararthamudirayan vijayate vamshininad shishoho Jai Guru, Jai Guru.